I have a total irreverence for anything connected with society, except that which makes the roads safer, the beer stronger, the food cheaper, and the old men and old women warmer in winter. Brandon Behan wrote that, and yet I don't think he was writing approvingly of warm banks.
Bollocks.
Welcome to Britain. Until recently, we were the 5th richest economy in the world. We pay our bankers bonuses more than double their salary. Our next Prime Minister used to be one of them. And following a roaring success in the food bank trade, we're getting into the warm bank game. This is Orchard Park, an estate in Hull. 29% of households here live in fuel poverty, compared to the average of 13.5% in the rest of England. We're here to tell you a story about modern Britain, about how nothing really works anymore. The political and economic system delivers chaos and hardship for millions. All the while, a small elite profit from that chaos. Tell us more about the area. What's Orchard Park like?
You don't really want to know. It's a good area to be. I've lived around here all my life, but there's a lot of troublemakers around here at the minute, and a lot of things are going bad around here.
What are the people like here in Orchard Park?
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah?
I mean, you have your young kids who get out of line, but let's face it, everybody does it.
Yeah.
I was no angel.
Were you trouble when you were younger, Ron?
Oh, I was.
The people are so friendly and helpful.
Yeah, they are down to earth. Like, if you're from the estate, everyone knows each other and you gets on well. But yeah, it's a good estate in that sense.
How long have you lived around here, Ron?
All my life.
All your life in Orchard Park?
Yes, yeah.
What's it like around here? Tell me about it.
Well, I was born, if you see them buildings there,
Yep.
I was born just on the boundary beyond them. Been there 89 years now.
They're just down to earth people, just friendly, it's like just whole people, they'll help you.
How long you lived around here?
About 20 odd years. Yeah.
You like it around here?
Yeah. No, it's a great atmosphere down. I used to live on 14th Fab, but like I say, brilliant atmosphere and that. Well, I'm hoping it'll carry on when I move on to my bungalow.
I always say, the further up you go in the country, the nicer the people are. Hartlepool have got family there, and Sunderland, and they're lovely people, and they're the same, all helpful and friendly.
More than 1 million people will be pushed into poverty this winter. These people will rely on a now well-established but informal network of goodwill, the Great British Food Bank. There are currently more of them in Britain than there are branches of McDonald's. But the volunteers and donations turned to by people in crisis are themselves in crisis. As food prices spiral, donations are down. And last week, food bank charity the Trussell Trust launched an emergency appeal because the need for food banks has now outstripped the supply. During lockdown, Matt started a food bank in Orchard Park. He's a youth worker, but in reality, his job involves much more than that.
St Michael's Youth Project is projects embedded in the heart of the community. It's been here 30 years. We deliver to the need. It's ever-changing, and so at the minute we do bike projects, outdoor pursuit projects, cooking, food, whatever the need is, to be fair. Whatever the need is to get people activated and out and running is what we do. As the pandemic started, everyone was worrying about whether we were going to shut down or not, and on the Friday they called a national shutdown, but we always did food in every session. So how can we then get the food to the kids? Right, so on the Tuesday, we opened the food bank and just started giving the food to parents. We deliveries at first, and then they escalated. We went up to 64,000 food parcels in the first year because we keep identifying different needs. Now we're down to 100 families a week, not because that's all the need is, it's because that's all the food we can get. I used to shift 7.5 tonnes of food a week, and now I'm lucky if I can get 1,200 kilos.
I'm guessing all of this, it's connected, isn't it? The cost of living crisis, the cost of food's going up, the cost of electricity is going up, and the consequences of that are really far-reaching, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the people on benefits. We have more and more people approaching food banks that own their houses, own their own cars, because they're tied to contracts. They have to pay their mortgage, they have to pay their car fees, otherwise they lose it. And the one thing that gives way is your food budget, so that gets smaller and smaller. You just do what you can. And you can't do any more than you can do, but as long as you can do what you can do and you make some people smile on the way, it's the easiest way to make yourself smile.
The most important word in there was smile. And there are plenty of them in Orchard Park. Thanks, Ron. Look after yourself, mate. Even during a conversation about some of the problems on the estate. And if you were to change something about Orchard Park, what would you change?
all the criminal activity that goes on around here, I ain't gonna lie, it's getting bad.
Is it?
Yeah.
Was it like antisocial behaviour or?
Yeah, and a lot of shops have just been robbed overnight and broke into. 5 in the last week, I think it was.
It's one of those things, isn't it? I'm not going to make excuses for people's behaviour, obviously, but we're talking here about fuel poverty, we're talking about food poverty, and if people are struggling and they're having a tough time, things like that go up, don't they? People find a way to try and survive.
Yeah, with the survival, it's like you got to do what you got to do, I suppose. People need to still eat, so they'll eat how they can.
When bankers rob people, they get bailed out. When people rob banks, they get banged up.
My name is Enoch Sinko. I work in the shop. I've been nearly 4 years here.
Tell me about Orchard Park. What's it like?
I don't know. I don't really take that notice from around here, but you found a lot of burglary in the shop. They break in quite easy way.
Into the shop here, they break in?
No, that's round the corner. The polish shop they've been breaking.
Oh, really? What, and like nicking cash out the till or like food? What's been stolen?
I have no idea. Don't tell me why they take it off. I say that should stop. So they bag up. I think they bag up the money and the spirit that does take off.
We're not including this segment to try and paint Orchard Park as some kind of dangerous backwater. Everyone on the estate is funny and friendly, apart from one 11-year-old who told us we were going to get banged out if we hung around much longer, which was still funny. The fact is, the connection between crime and poverty is well documented. The burglaries are a symptom of deprivation, and people here are hard up. Parliamentary research found that Orchard Park has the highest rate of fuel poverty in the country. It is the coldest place in England. And for all the help so far to come out of Westminster, the unit cost of gas has still increased by more than 150% since last winter, and electricity by more than 60%. Where are you feeling the pinch most in your daily expenses?
Electricity and gas, it's just getting unreal how much I'm having to pay monthly on it. And yeah, you're no longer wet to live, you're wet to survive now.
Well, me and my husband are pensioners now, so of course we are feeling the pinch.
Yeah.
With everything going up.
I'm putting about an extra £100 each on both a month.
Crazy,
so about 200 quid a month more just on gas and electric.
Just had to spend like nearly 200 quid just on a van to move myself and things like, yeah.
Like your bread and your butter and your tea and your coffee. And the thing is that you have to sort of buy regularly.
Bills and food, yeah, it's all right, that's gone right up. Especially like electric and that lot.
And I know the busmen are on strike, but they want to be lucky they've got a job and they're getting money every week.
Well, I'm very, very fortunate in that I've saved and I've had a couple of pensions and I'm quite comfortable.
In the food, I suppose, really, when you go for things now, it was £1, it's about £1.40, 50, something like that.
I mean, I help out at the food bank what we've got on a Tuesday, what's run by the youth centre there.
Yeah.
And you find that it's lots of people that come in every week for food.
Yeah.
So, people are poor.
If you shop around, I mean, there's that shop there and that one there, and they balance each other out. And they're reasonable, I mean, let's face it, the big stores, I won't name them, but they're pushing the prices up. These people are trying to keep it down.
I've known poverty, and it's a different poverty today.
Tell me how.
Well, when we was growing up, I was growing up like the 50s, 60s, and I come from a real big family, but my dad worked. But they want all these handouts you get now.
I've accessed a couple of food banks and things like that, yeah, because they do one at the Cent and the church what I go to, they do one as ever. I've had a couple of, so I've had to rely on food banks sometimes, yeah.
Not using the heating as much, like use a blanket and dressing gown if it gets too cold, but you obviously there's only so much you can do, you still got to put the heating on.
Yeah. Have you put the heating on yet this year?
Yeah, it's been on a few times, regrettably, but it has to go on.
You've just got to cut back, haven't you? I find I'm turning things off more now.
Oh, yeah.
We're turning electric, my television is not on standby now, it's switched off.
At the wall?
Yes, at the wall, and things like that. Even my heating, but don't need it so much at the moment, do we? You can put an extra jumper on or something. Yeah, it's not so bad. It's just when you got the weather, like yesterday, the rain. Yeah. You're still warm though.
Yeah.
Well, the bills are, and the food shop, because things that you've bought every week, what you've bought normally, you think, oh, that's gone up. but it hasn't gone up by pennies, it's gone up by 10p or 20p, and you think, oh, that's a big step, you know. Like the Daily Mail, for instance, that used to be, what was it? It was below £1, and now it's 1.20 now. And that, in a matter of weeks, that went up. So I don't get the Daily Mail now. I mean, I can go online and look at it, like, so on my phone. But I used to like the Daily Mail.
Opening nights are usually moments of pride. The culmination of an entrepreneur's dreams, the test of a director's creative vision. There's one today in Orchard Park, but the proprietor's not proud. And that's because Joe Lorenz of St Michael's Youth Project is opening a warm bank. How long has St Michael's Youth Project been operating in Orchard Park for?
33 years this year. So we've seen a lot of changes. At one point in time there were 16 youth projects and youth groups in and around the area, and now there's ourselves in this area, which is heartbreaking.
So you must be busier than ever at the moment then?
Yes, yeah, doing 10 times more with 10 times less, which is the story across the board, I think, for many people.
The warm bank, what does it actually involve? Being a warm bank, what does it mean? Is it just being around if someone wants to come in and have a chat? Is it just leaving the heating on in a room? What does it mean?
I think all of those things. I mean, this place needs to be safe and it needs to be warm. People want to feel welcome when they come in. We also don't want them to feel that they're judged in any way. So the biggest thing is that it's a welcoming environment and it's here for them. So it's not a case of it's a youth centre or it's a community centre. It is, as you see now, the door's wide open. Only because it's a nice warm day. The heating isn't on at the moment, but the door will be closed. At clock 10 closed when the heating is on. So we will be making sure we're saving energy. At the moment the weather is uncategorical. It's just like bizarre.
A bit of a blessing recently, hasn't it?
Yeah. So we're hoping that this is going to continue. But our biggest worry and our biggest concern is when the weather does change and we're encouraging people to leave their homes and to come through our front door to stay warm, that those the conditions outside aren't going to be the best. Heaven forbid somebody has a slip, has a fall, but then also it leaves us here and goes down to a cold house. One of the things we would like to kind of petition for and try and sort of champion is like, let's try and fix the issue as opposed to the cause, rather than sticking that sticky plaster over a huge problem. And I don't know what the answer to that is, but maybe the government and the energy companies can finally come together and come up with a solution. Yeah.
Well, it feels like a big old tax on the ginormous profits that those companies are making, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, the funds that we receive to actually run our projects it's tighter and tighter all the time. But that social aspect of it is completely different to the need we're creating of you need to keep warm. We want people to spend time together and build relationships, which we hope will come out of those warm spaces as well. But to actually set it up in the first place as a warm space, not a kind of community engagement, it's a very strange feeling. Yeah.
You're talking to us now, right? And you're talking about there used to be 16 youth groups here. There's now one. Funding has decreased, and then COVID happens, and then you're opening a food bank in your youth project as well, and now you're opening a warm bank. And I don't want to sound pessimistic, but it's like you said, it's one thing after another, and I'm asking the question: well, when's it going to move in the opposite direction? When are things going to get better?
If I knew that one, I'd be Prime Minister. Yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah. I could always run for it, yeah.
The current rate, yeah, you might be.
Yeah. You've always got to look on the brighter side of things, not to quote Monty Python, but it is true. If we did concentrate on the negative, we wouldn't carry on, we would lose hope. But as I say, the community that we do see and the people we see and the difference it makes to them, we don't want to be seen as the people that are doing it for people. We are just the tip of the iceberg and we're here for them. So there's maybe 1 or 2 hours a week that they access our provision, but there's another however many hours a week that they don't have that support and stuff. So there's some fantastic people out there as well as us, making a difference and doing stuff. So I think the more people can do, whether you're in a community group, whether you're in a household, or whether you're part of a family network, or you've got a next door neighbour, I think if everybody does their little bit, it does make a difference. It's that kind of collective effort. Because if everybody turned around and said, right, I'm not going to do it, then I think we are into a bad place. But the fact that we are trying to help, and other people like us are trying to make a difference too, I think that's where we're at, and that's what keeps people smiling and still keeps hope as well. Yeah.
Life in Orchard Park and other estates in Britain can be tough, and the people that live here know it. They also know that Britain is not governed for their benefit. As our political system becomes increasingly technocratised, focus pulls to bottom lines, economic graphs and communication strategy. And the poorest people in our society will be forced by the richest Prime Minister in history to pay the price of his party's mistakes.